Hello everyone, I'm the Millennial. Do I have any other Millennials in the room?
Ah, you are the Millennial of the group. I'm not sure if that's meant to be an assurance or a warning. Regardless, our speaker is Dale Thomas Vaughn, and he is the Director of Marketing for Boots and All Travel, though more relevant to this presentation, he is the co-founder of the Gender Leadership Group, which offers, quote, webinars, consulting, and training, including communication, developing as inclusive leaders, going beyond empowering women's leadership, and taking on engaging men in gender partnership and intersectional inclusion. Wow, such a mouthful of buzzwords there, it almost seems like I'm eating bees. This talk took place at the Better Man Conference in September of 2017. And what is the Better Man Conference? Well, at the risk of being summarily sardonic, it appears to be an organized guilt trip attempting to solve the toxic masculinity problem in the workplace. But, all right, tell me about how gender, leadership, and intersectionality will lead us all towards an inclusive corporate promised land.
I like to talk to that group of people sometimes because there's a huge amount of hope I have for our generation. I'm going to show you some stats about that in a minute.
Hope for millennials. Well, yes, I too have hope, though it is a dim and tenuous flicker at this point.
We're going to talk about systemic solutions for corporate culture change, and I'm going to do this quickly, and we're going to get into a panel that I think you guys are going to get a lot of takeaways from. So let's start here. A little bit about me. I started doing this work when I was 15, 16 years old. I actually started in a space of ending sexual violence. So sexism, sexual assault, domestic violence, sexual abuse. And I became an activist around that. I went to domestic violence shelter, I interned, I manned a hotline, I learned how to become a counselor to survivors of assault and abuse. And during that time I started asking this question, why is this allowed? Why does this exist? How could a world where I see a lot of men in charge allow other men to be violent? How is that allowed?
Allowed. Okay, firstly, I have nothing against, nor any mocking to make of our speaker's work in regards to domestic violence counseling and so on. That can be difficult and important work. But I am stuck on this idea that such things are allowed. Domestic violence is allowed to happen, about the same as murder is allowed to happen. Neither are permissible in a civilized society, and they do not occur with anyone's willful consent. That is why they are both crimes.
And that led me down at a very young age, one of those dark roads of understanding how broken masculinity as a culture actually is.
Masculinity is not a culture. It is a general set of behaviors attributed to males of the human species. And masculinity is not broken. But individual choices made by individual people, both men and women, do break the law from time to time, however.
So that led me into a whole world of healthy masculinity, understanding gender, understanding how to get into that. And then I had this reality, once I was working at Southwest Airlines and then Ticketmaster, that the place where I was encountering it at school, high school or college, changed once I graduated and went into the corporate world. The place that most of us now are encountering the friction of gender or any other issue is in the workplace.
Yes. Very good. If you're not in school anymore, then presumably you will be interacting with other people and the opposite gender at work. Such an amazing revelation, that.
So if we're going to have a conversation, it has to be about how we do systemic change in the corporate culture. So that's kind of where I come from. I've spoken in a few places. You can get deeper into my work at, I have a TEDx talk called How Great Men Think Alike, deeper into my story if you want to go there.
A TEDx talk, you say? Gosh, what are those like?
And I want to also point out the Good Men Project. If you're not familiar with that, that's a great resource. We reach about 4 million people a month about the conversation around what it means to be a man in all different contexts around social justice. If you don't know the traffic levels, that's roughly Oprah.com level, just about what it means to be a good man.
The Good Men Project, implying that men are inherently not good and they need to be made into projects in order to be better people. Got it.
So this is the problems the stuff we're gonna cover today: the problem, the opportunity, the solutions, and what everybody in this room is kind of here for. What's my role? What's my responsibility in this as a leader, as a person, etc.? So the first thing is the problem, right?
Right.
Maybe some of you have seen this. This is from Lean-In and McKinsey. This is the actual representation of the pipeline, right?
Right.
Ah, the pipeline. Yes, I have seen that before. I did a video that featured it prominently, and in that video, they didn't offer any proof to say that the numbers showed anything other than the results of personal choices, though they were happy to claim, without proof, that it represented a sexist glass ceiling. And, wait a second. That previous video. That's you! You were the moderator. Wow, what a small, small world I live in. And let me guess, your sales pitch is going to be the same this time, except instead of interviewing and praising women, you'll simply be denigrating men. Am I close?
If you haven't seen this, you might notice that at the end here where we've got entry level, it's not quite equal, but it's closer. And you see towards the end, we've got a very small percentage of women in leadership roles. Now, obviously, all of you know that.
Obviously.
But what I've been hearing a lot when I go to speak at women's conferences is I have women saying, I have felt the glass ceiling hit me. I have felt it come up against my life. So I think women encounter this in a really, a much more tangible way. And often I think men, I hear this a lot in companies I go to consult in. We have a woman president, or we have a woman vice president, or we have, right, the tokenism of I can recognize that there's a leader in my company that's not like me. And so that means we've solved this issue.
Yes. Yes, they have solved that issue. And the women who work hard and take advantage of the opportunities before them can achieve those leadership positions. These things are not denied to women, and your classifying them as tokens entirely dismisses their personal merits and devolves them down to window dressing. Were all of the women leaders you interviewed previously merely tokens? Oh, but silly me, you're one of the better men, here to teach the rest of us the error of our testosterone. Got it.
This, I think, is compelling because it shows us there's a real problem and that it's something we can quantify. When I started doing this work, these statistics weren't really available. So now we have them, let's use them.
Yes. Use them to presume causation with correlation, not with evidence. Got it.
So so the Manpower Group is a HR group, so that's not just about what it means to be a man and powerful.
Wow. The Better Man Conference, the Good Men Project, the Manpower Group. Wow, there sure are a lot of organizations out there who are telling themselves that they are the good guys, and that they are far more enlightened than the rest of us toxic man-beasts.
Um, they said the holdup is that the biggest problem is an entrenched male culture. And I think what's fascinating is they found that this is a barrier men acknowledged must change as well, which to me says that men also feel uncomfortable with masculinity and the male culture at work.
So, female culture isn't to blame. You know, that female culture that says that having children and raising a family is a thing. That female culture that dedicates time to their kids at the expense of a high-pressure or time-consuming career. And you know, the male culture that works longer hours and more dangerous jobs to see to the welfare of their wives and children in order to compensate? Oh, but silly me. Women have no say in any of this. It is all the horrible men who are oppressing them and their desires.
I just want to, just for my own edification, I'd like to know how many, raise your hand, guys in this room have felt uncomfortable in the male culture in your workplace? Like the majority, thank you.
You are uncomfortable with masculinity. Got it.
I know I have as well.
You don't say!
I grew up an athlete. I grew up fighting for my space, but I got into the corporate culture and thought, why is that still here? That should be for the field or whatever. Like, why are we doing that in the workplace? Never felt comfortable in that.
Okay, business is competitive. Competition separates the wheat from the chaff in the market. If you don't understand that, then you have a very thin understanding of economics, let alone capitalism.
This is the spring 2016 Harvard Public Opinion poll that gives me hope. It says that more than half of millennial men think that they enjoy more advantages than women in American society, but less than 20% of them identify as feminists. To me, this is the opportunity of our lifetimes.
Men think that they have more advantages, but few of them are feminists. They think that they do, but do they? And this is an opportunity, you say. All right, I am ready to be educated. Tell me how men not believing in feminism is an opportunity.
That a majority or a near majority of men of a generation get that there is a problem, but only 20% of my generation identify as being part of the solution.
Feminism is the solution. Got it.
So the opportunity. How many of you, you're all in business, if I told you you could have 300% more revenue this year, how many of you would do whatever I told you to do?
Oh, let me guess. Merely the act of hiring and promoting women will increase revenues by 300%. I wonder if our speaker would be comfortable signing his name to that guarantee.
So this is something from UC Davis. Firms with the greatest gender diversity among executives and board members earned 300% more revenue and 50% higher profit than the average company in a study of 400 public companies. I give you this statistic as one of the thousands of statistics you could find.
Ah, yes, that old slide. We have seen that before, haven't we? Yeah, there it is. From your previous presentation, where you were a moderator with a group of women. Huh. I wonder if I had anything to say about that claim way back then. Gosh, I wonder how UC Davis conducted that survey. Oh, they took the top 400 companies ranked by the total percentage of women among directors and highest paid executives. So, focusing only on the top of the company's hierarchy, not the company overall. Oh, and would you look at this, from page 7 of the full report. Return on assets ROA, and return on equity, ROE, are widely regarded as strong measures of corporate health that control for the resources being used by the company. ROE is measured as the net profit scaled by average shareholder equity. The top 25 have a median return on assets and equity of 4.4% and 12.2%, respectively. This is at least 74% higher than for the entire sample of 400 companies, although 7 of the top 25 companies have negative ROA and ROE. The question of why these measures of corporate health are correlated in our data with the fraction of female leaders remains to be explored. Our findings do not imply any causal relationship. No causal relationship. Got it. I love it when I can lazily plagiarize myself.
Because where we start when we go into companies, and some of the companies are in this room, if we start with the business case, if you are trying to convince men to be involved in this conversation, starting with irrefutable facts means they can't use that as their logic out.
Irrefutable facts, you say. Irrefutable. Got it.
So give them a fact like this, 300%, what wouldn't you do for that? And they'll go, okay, I would probably do almost anything for 300% more revenue. Any leader in any company would say that.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
So they'll say, I get it, all right, gender partnership is good for business, but what's in it for me? I am busy. Why do I need to be the one taking care of this? This is also high-minded apathy. There's a problem, but I'm not really required to solve it. So let's get into what men actually gain personally.
So you're going to appeal to selfishness in order to spur on an initiative of gender equality. You're going to argue profit over principle. Tell me again how you are uncomfortable in a competitive corporate culture.
I like to say, raise your hand if you would like less worry, less time at work, more quantity and quality time with loved ones, better relationship satisfaction, and better sex. Raise your hands. You might be a feminist.
Wow. Feminism provides all of that? Really? Feminism makes it so I worry less, and work less, and have better sex? Golly, sounds like an ideological panacea. And those always turn out well.
This is just like the duh. But at the same time, we have to talk to men about what is in it for them personally. I get this question a lot. I'm a sales guy, I'm out in the field, I'm working to make my quotas, I have clients to meet, I got stuff to do, I got paperwork to file.
So these men are busy and working hard, and you're asking them to do what for women? What are you asking men to do that women cannot do for themselves?
Why is this something you need me to do? Well, it's good for business. Well, it's good for me personally. Okay. Is it top priority is the question, right?
Right.
And I end up going to the moral case. This is something that has always influenced me, and this is some interesting research, again, from McKinsey, that $28 trillion of additional annual GDP within 10 years, this was put out in 2015, is the possibility if we bridge the gender inequality gap.
$28 trillion. That is a possibility. Got it.
That's the highest level possibility. 12 trillion is if we just matched best in region country in progress. Now, there's a deeper dive there, but the point is...
The point is that you're not going to explain all that would actually have to happen to actually achieve either of those two outcomes. Got it.
12 to 28 trillion dollars worth of annual revenue to the world that is just going to waste because we've done a bad job of gender equality. Let me put that into perspective. What could you do with 28 trillion dollars?
Buy 28 trillion items at the dollar store?
You could literally end global poverty. You could get clean water for everyone in the world, college for everyone, that's a U.S. statistic. You could get U.S. student loan forgiveness, and that's gone up a little bit. World hunger could be solved, $267 billion per year over the next 15 years. So let's say that that's $3 trillion. Send humans to Mars and bring them back, by the way. These are all estimates. I've got research. You can come and talk to me about it if I want to show you deeper pieces of that. But the point of that is we could do all of that stuff and still have $22.6 trillion left over after 1 year. That's just 1 year. So the point I want to make is...
The point you want to make is feminism can save the world. Got it.
We could pretty much solve every problem if we started here, right?
Right.
Like, we can all agree. So...
Oh, we can all agree, but do we all agree?
This is where I start to get hopeful, because I think that my generation gets that. I think that there's an opportunity here. 97% of millennials think their generation will finally achieve equality of opportunity for emerging female leaders.
It is great to have lofty goals. Now, just tell me that the mechanisms to achieve that goal don't involve hiring and promoting purely on the basis of gender, and you may have my attention.
That might seem pie in the sky, it might seem naive, it might seem innocent, but it is also a reality of their expectations walking into your recruitment pools, walking into your client companies, walking into your RFPs. So if you are not paying attention to what millennials as a vast majority believe is possible, your business might be missing out on opportunity.
So, if you don't agree with our vision of equality, then you will suffer. Got it.
So, again, this makes what we're talking about, gender equality, gender partnership, a very high priority. We would all agree at this point, right?
Right.
Let's get into the solutions. Okay, I've given you the reasons. Let's say you all in this room believe me that gender equality would be good. Is that true? Got like a round of applause for like gender equality.
Please clap.
I just felt good to hear. So let's get into the solutions.
Solutions? Oh, the actual nuts and bolts of how feminism and the vilification of masculinity is going to earn $28 trillion and end global poverty? Dare I delve into such insight? Well, maybe another time. But for now, I think I have had my fill of being told that I should be looking at women through the lens of a profit motive. If I wanted to operate like that, well, I guess I'll just have to be a better man by becoming a pimp. As always, thank you for watching.